Alright, hey guys, not sure if you can hear me, but welcome to the live stream.
So apparently, this person here, they actually grow on that tree. That's what's wrong with old yards and bad practices. They come out of that. And they eat it and that'll come back. But this lady's like, I never would see their, converted to butterflies. And they disappear. That's so big. And that's, if you want to see pictures of somebody, you're talking about cardinal moth.
Alright, so welcome back to the poll stream. Today we, as the title says, we're going to talk about DC's Vigilante. DC's character Vigilante's had a pretty weird history from the beginning to, from the revived version that they did for the 6-issue limited series and to the Green Arrow TV show. When Vigilante first started out, he started out as a cowboy character for DC's Cowboy Comics to be alongside with Jonah Hex. And he's one of the few DC heroes that have the simplest of names, just describing what he does. Vigilante. That's it. That's all you need to know. Vigilante from the Western comics was a traditional cowboy look, wearing, a white Stetson, covering half his face with a bandana, and traditional cowboy duds. That had a very similar color scheme to that of Superman, the red, blue, and back to white for the boots, I believe. Sometimes brown, but very standard traditional look for Vigilante back then. And his story was very simple. He was a TV star who, saw a lot of trouble going on in his neighborhood, so he decided to do something about that. So he put on this cowboy costume they had from doing the show back in his prime, and he becomes a vigilante to clean up his streets. That was the first incarnation. There was another one that you see now in the show Arrow. But yet his origin story is a bit unknown, at least to me. I'm not sure if they covered it in the recent season of Arrow or if his identity is still a mystery. But in the comics, Adrian Chase was a defense attorney who, more often than not, would be very boastful, very confident, and cared little if his client was actually innocent or guilty. Just more about fame and popularity for him. Until one day he found out one of the clients he was defending, or one of the clients for a case that he was working, his girlfriend was murdered by a mob boss. And he had to defend his client. Seeing that there was a problem with the justice system, after his client was let go, he decides to become a vigilante and take vengeance. And his costume was a little more elaborate. His costume was an old ski outfit that he found, where it was a black shirt with white and blue vertical V-neck kind of lines on the chest. And he would wear a basic face mask, but his eyes would be covered with ski goggles, which would later be modified to be like trackers to spot, his targets. But his character had a very black and white view on the world. There was good and bad. There was no gray area. To him, there was none. And he would kill. So he was more or less DC's equivalent of the Punisher. Now, his character did go through an arc at some point that he started to realize, well, maybe there is a gray area, and tried to back off from killing criminals. But unfortunately, he met his end very quickly and lost his life due to revenge from someone that he killed. And then a close friend of his, she decides to carry out the legacy and become another version of the Vigilante. Now, her story I'm not all too familiar with, since I myself am not hugely familiar with Vigilante in general, and I haven't even finished the I've read 3 of the 6-issue limited series, Vigilante Southland. Southland was a reboot to Vigilante's origin, new character, new background, and with a pretty odd gimmick. Vigilante didn't really need a gimmick, he just was simple. Excellent marksman, ski suit, nothing to write home about. But for Southland, they decided to give him deadly yo-yos. Yeah, yo-yos that had blades attached to them, I think. It was a very weird choice to give. And the design of Vigilantes is still, for this new Vigilante, is still reminiscent to the classic look, but instead of the V-neck, blue and white, it's more of a straight line than traditional V-neck, more of a horizontal or vertical line. So yeah, a little bit unusual. And then, of course, Green Arrow, being the show that it is, likes to bring light to some of the lesser-known villains and some of the lesser-known heroes. They decide to bring him in season 5 of Arrow, along with Wild Dog and Ragman. Where I would say Wild Dog is kind of DC's version of Casey Jones from the Ninja Turtles comics and the Ninja Turtles TV show. Well, I'm not sure how accurate that is, or maybe just another version of of Vigilante that is again a take on the Punisher. But that's just hearsay. So what I really want to get to the meat and bones of this whole stream is, does this character deserve to be part of the cinematic movie universe, of the cinematic DC universe? Or, at the very least, a movie of his own, or another reboot for the comics. I don't know, to be honest with you. I feel at this point DC doesn't really need a non-powered, well, not hero, but vigilante in the full sense of the word. I will leave this up to the chat for you guys to decide from what I told you about what Vigilante does, and a little bit of the history of him. What do you guys think Vigilante should? Do you think he should have another go, or just be another forgotten hero in the DC-verse? Leave it open to you guys. Who's all in the chat right now? I see one person's watching. Can you guys hear me, or is the filter of the pool a little too loud? Well, that's my thoughts on the whole idea of Vigilante. I think at least he does deserve another go-around in the comic books to, another probably reboot for his character and, another revision of him. Since I feel the Southland one had a good premise, but maybe not a good execution, which is probably why it only lasted 6 issues. But to me, I think Vigilante would be a nice little change for DC, since they do have a lot of, superheroes with powers, and again, they also have a handful of heroes that don't have superpowers. But I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on Vigilante, if he really clearly is a poor man's version of the Punisher, or, just DC coincidentally creating a character very similar to the Punisher without knowing. Or vice versa, maybe Marvel took inspiration from him. Since DC and Marvel always seem to have copycat type of characters and superheroes and villains with similar gimmicks. Play a little lightsaber. But while we're on the topic of, the revived Vigilante character, why do you suppose yo-yos is a gimmick? Has there been a hero or villain that has used yo-yos, or did they just thought this would be a unique gimmick to try? Since yo-yos for a hero or villain isn't the first thing I think of when I think of comic book. I know back in the day, yo-yos were considered to be dangerous high-class weapons, and they are still today considered to be a weapon if used the right way. So, should this be a thing now that heroes or a hero or a villain should have that to their gimmick, or is it too ridiculous an idea to even try? Yeah, it does. It does. I do agree with that. It might add a comedical effect, but I don't know. I feel like it's something that the Ninja Turtles would do, like from the Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze movie, using a yo-yo as a weapon. But if we wanted to do like a dark, gritty, serious movie, which is what DC Cinematic Universe likes to do on occasion, I think that might be going the wrong route. But then again, DC seems to now know the mistake that they've made, and are trying to rectify that. Hey, at least Marvel finally figured out what was going on with their movies when they first tried back in the early 2000s, and then just said, hey, can we be fun again? Can we actually be a comic book movie? And look at where we are now with Marvel Cinematic Universe. They are doing everything right. So far, they haven't made any mistakes. So, hopefully DC can learn from that. Hopefully Warner Brothers sees what's wrong, or maybe they're just seeing the dollar signs. And if that's the case, if they're just seeing the dollar signs, I'm pretty sure the next Batman movie is going to be more the same from what we've already seen. Don't believe me? Look at all the Transformer movies and realize they're all the same movie. Just progressively getting worse and worse. as we're still watching them. But the thing about... I do think that DC should give Vigilante another go. I think he does deserve a live-action movie. I think just to give him a chance, just to give him a try, to see how it works, since DC does like to do the dark and gritty movies, since Warner Brothers is doing that with DC Cinematic Universe. I think Vigilante is the right character to use to do a dark and gritty story, or dark, gritty DC comic book movie. I feel like Vigilante is the only one that can do it. And yes, you can argue that Constantine would be a good choice too. I don't argue with that. I don't mind that. I think Constantine would be a good choice, or even Justice League Dark, since that's what they're focused on. That's what they want to tell, a dark, gritty story. I feel like they should do it with these characters versus somebody like Superman. It's somebody like, and yeah, I feel like they should do the dark stuff with the right characters, with the right comic book characters. It can be good. Not that I'm saying you can't do a dark Superman story, because you can, but you really have to pull it off. You really have to go all the way with it. You have to go full dark if you want to go that route. But yeah, I think if Warner Brothers is watching this, which I highly doubt they are, but I think if they are listening, go with Vigilante. Vigilante is the route to go. He has a dark backstory, he has a tragic backstory, and he has a tragic end. So if they really want to do a movie with him in it, I really think this would be their best bet, their best go around. And on my next thing, we won't be talking about Wild Dog, because Wild Dog is a character I really loved in the Arrowverse and the Arrow show, and I do have a lot to say about his new look. I have a lot to say about his new design, because I am not a big fan of the new design that they give Wild Dog. I really am not. I feel like even the creator, the comic creator, does not like the new look that they gave him. But that's for another discussion, for another live stream. However, I will say this thing. I will say about Vigilante's look in the CW Arrow TV show, I love it because it's reminiscent to the comic book, but it's also updated. It's also upgraded. It's very... It still has the ski suit type of element, still the vertical blue, or still the, the V-neck, blue and white, white, but also wearing like Kevlar, wearing like bulletproof stuff. It's very upgraded, but still staying reminiscent. And he has still the little visor, the hockey, the ski goggle visor deal. That actually works as, okay, detecting that person, or going inside. Yeah, and his character, from what I've seen in the show, so far, is very much like the character in the comics. Very black and white view on the world. Very much, hey, there's just good people and bad people. There's no in between. And yeah, so he's very similar to I would say, the Watchmen, to Rorschach, in the sense that he has this very black and white view of the world. And the question for a time had a very black and white view of the world as well. That there's just the black and white, there's no gray area. Although in later versions of him, later adaptations, there is that gray area, but I prefer the black and white view. In the Justice League cartoon show, when he finds out that there is this other reality of the Justice Lords, where in the future, in that universe, Lex Luthor becomes president, he kills the Flash, Superman kills Lex Luthor, and the Justice League become the Justice Lords. Pretty much the plot basis of Injustice, Gods Among Us. Now, when he sees that footage of that alternate universe, he believes Superman's going to go down that route because Lex Luthor's running for president and he's doing all this stuff that's setting up, this new universe. This, Armageddon, as the question calls it. So he takes it upon himself to kill Lex Luthor himself. Before, he's elected president, before Superman kills him, before Lex Luthor kills the Flash, he feels if he does this prevents everything. This prevents everything, and Lex Luthor tries to tell him, well, this is gonna, put a stain on Justice League's reputation. And he goes, no, because I'm not acting within Justice League's rules. I'm doing this on my own. And Justice League will survive my reputation because, I'm already the wild card. I'm the madman. I'm the conspiracy theorist. So, that's why I like the question. The question is another comic character that deserves a movie. He deserves a movie, or at least a spot in the CW Arrowverse. But that will be for another live stream as well. Me talking about a question. Kind of going off topic here, because I haven't talked about, DC Vigilante that much. But I feel like I said all I could say about the character. So it's really up to you guys if you think he deserves another go-around or not. But hey, it's been nice chatting with you guys, and I'll be sure to catch you all on the flip side. So I will see you guys later. Have a good day. Yep.